Hello friends, so for today's video I'm doing another unhaul. I did one not too long ago and I kind of elaborated there, but I'll say again here that recently this year I reread quite a few of my absolute all-time favorite stories. And in doing that, it really highlighted for me how many of the books I have read were fine. They were fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I didn't hate them. I didn't actively dislike them or root against them. It's not like when I saw people reading it, I was like, ugh, or anything like that. But I also just try to bring books into my local bookstores as often as I can, because then it makes it more accessible to other people, because the price points when they're used end up being lower at the local bookstores, and then people can find them for a more affordable price. And my local bookstores have it where you can get store credit, and they actually offer a really good amount of store credit. So I figure if people have store credit, then another way that the books are easier to get, rather than me holding on to something just because I kind of liked it. Anyway, as an unhaul, I probably don't need to explain. I'll just jump into it. First up, we have The Maidens. So I mentioned that I definitely was biased towards this book, and I have no problem admitting that because I buddy read it with my mom. We went on a little road trip to the Grand Canyon. We read that book while we were there, and it was just really fun because we would, every now and then, we'd be hanging out and talking about like, oh, so who do you think the person is, or what do you think is going on? And that experience was really fun. That's, of course, one of the best parts of reading, is being able to then engage with other people. But to have that buddy read experience with my mom was really fun. She's a very hardworking person. She works all the time, and so she doesn't really have that much time to read. And when she does read, to get to read something with her was just, I guess you could say, as cliche and cheesy as it sounds, it was really special. So I really enjoyed that, but I don't think my mom cares at all if I take the book in. In fact, I think I asked her, like, Mom, do you want it? And she was like, no, when am I going to read it again? So I took it in because I probably won't actually reread this book at any point. After that, we have one that probably is a little bit of a surprise, and that would be both Mask of Mirrors and The Liar's Knot. I have liked both of these. I did not dislike these books. I might continue on with the series. I might not. So I like it quite a bit, but with how many series that I start, especially doing new releases wrap-up videos where I'm very frequently picking up newer books, and that means I'm starting new series all the time, I have to really kind of sit back and analyze which ones have I really enjoyed, which ones do I really want to give my time to and continue on with. And I have enjoyed both these first two books. I may pick up the third one at some point. I may not. But at the end of the day, it's not an all-time new favorite. The next two, Defy the Night and Defend the Dawn, I took in for a very similar reason. I didn't hate these books. I didn't love these books. I enjoyed them. They were kind of middle of the road. And I figured, too, if I see... Same goes for Mask of Mirrors, or technically the series name is Rook and Rose. I figured for both of these series, they're ones that if I decide, oh, you know what, I don't know, I kind of am thinking about the series, I'm sort of missing these characters, it sounds like something I might want to pick up, I can always try checking them out from the library. They're just not ones I feel like I need to own. After that, we have The Love Hypothesis. So I thought this was fun. It definitely feels like you're watching a romantic comedy, but it definitely really embraces and leans into the tropes, and it seems pretty self-aware of the tropes that it is using, and it leans into them anyway. And I do have a soft spot, I think, for that, of books that it's using the tropes in a way where they kind of are in on it with you, but it wasn't the most unique thing. And I did like the emphasis on STEM. I thought that was really fun, but there are just other romance books I've read that I definitely connected with more than I did with The Love Hypothesis. Similarly, I took in, and this one I actually kind of debated because I do really like the author's writing style, and I liked the focus on mental health and accepting yourself and having a significant other who also doesn't make you feel bad about yourself but kind of uplifts you. The Brown Sisters. The writing style really is quite charming, and I think the author is very witty. The characters are very entertaining, and I liked the relationships between the characters in all three of the books. With most of the books on this list, though, it really does not come down to me having disliked them, so it's almost just sounding the same for every single book of I liked it, but I didn't love it, or it's not a new all-time favorite. There's not a whole lot negative to say, which maybe makes the Unhaul disappointing, because I feel like a lot of people come to Unhauls like, ooh, yes, I get to hear them rant about something. And looking at the rest of the books on my list, I really don't have anything to rant about. They really are just all like, you know what? Let's take this one in. That's the experience for basically all of them. The next one, Carval, the Carval trilogy. So this one actually I can elaborate on a little more. I really like Once Upon a Broken Heart. What I was talking about with tropes with the love hypothesis, I definitely feel like Once Upon a Broken Heart does. It was like, let's have all the most ridiculous tropes and throw them all in a pot, and then this is what you get. And other things come out of the pot sometimes, and they're really random. But let's just go with it. And I like it quite a bit. I don't know what it is. It just makes me happy. I find it amusing. And then with Carval, that is Stephanie Garber's original trilogy that her career was launched from. And so I went back and I reread that trilogy, especially because one of the characters in Once Upon a Broken Heart pops up in this trilogy. And so it was fun to see that character, to kind of see their origin. But at the end of the day, this one to me didn't quite lean into tropes in a self-aware way. It more so just used tropes and it was very strange. It was strange, but there's something about it that it didn't have that eccentricity that Once Upon a Broken Heart has in quite the same way. Next up, this one I really had fun reading. I read this with Monet and Shauna, two of my friends who both have their own channels, but that would be Anatomy of Love Story. I wish that this had not become another genre kind of. I never know if I can say, because I don't want to spoil anything, but it is historical fiction. That I can say for sure. I know I can say that. And some of what happens at the end I was a little frustrated by, because I was ready for the story to be a standalone and for everything to wrap up, not necessarily in a perfect neat bow, but I just feel like where it left off was kind of strange. And I debated for a while, I'm like, do I want to read the sequel? And if I end up wanting to read the sequel at some point, I will check it out from the library. But I did like the writing, and I did feel like the author had a kind of morbid sense of humor, which I liked as well. Last on the list, we have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. And this one, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to take it in, because it's just a duology, and so I thought I should probably just, read the next one. I liked the first one. I liked the mental health representation in it. I liked the setting. I liked the characters. But I also, as much as I enjoy both adult and young adult fantasy, some young adult fantasy, of course, because I'm not the target demographic, it's just harder to connect with the themes that are present, and sometimes the writing style isn't always one that I absolutely love. These are faster paced, they're fun, kind of almost like an enemies to lovers or enemies to friends, enemies to allies kind of a setup. And again, I did really like the mental health representation. And at this point, I'm just getting pickier and pickier with what I'm keeping. And I liked this one, but I think that it's going to resonate a little bit more with people who are within the target demographic, or who are outside of it, but are just going to connect with it more than maybe I did. That's it for this unhaul. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.